played, they have a bit of familiarity with. It's just going to be a question of will it be, this first pick worthy is what's kind of eye-opening.
Yeah, so Cloud9 can either go Adagio here, which is risky, or go with Kestrel, which is what Old School can play, and it's pretty good with a Grace. She can escape if she gets in trouble, and Grace can then give her Divine Intervention, and then CC anybody that wants to dive onto her. So let's see if that Kestrel will be picked up, or potentially they could go with an Adagio here.
The Adagio pick would be definitely leading towards a big melee bruiser as the final pick if they do it, which I'm wondering if they'd even be willing to reveal that that's what they're going for before it's the final pick, because we know they are.
There we go.
They're gonna
go
you
want to save jungle for last counter pick, because if you pick your jungle first, you can get hard countered. And your laner wouldn't make a difference, so that's why. So now with Idris, there's probably be CP Idris, so most likely they're going to do some type of weapon hero. I think they would prefer CP Idris because a weapon Idris would not want to get close to the Grace. So Sky looks good right now. Samuel looks really good as well. Don't forget we have Baptiste, but I doubt that they'll play a Baptiste here. They may do Baptiste Captain with the Sky or a Samuel. So let's see what comes up from the draft from TSM here.
Yep, still options available.
Wait, Cath is open. I forgot.
Cath is open. You're absolutely correct. It's interesting to see how the draft is turning out here. Crawl is going to be the jungler that they lock in, but
and in Cath,
you can see that these guys clearly know each other incredibly well just by the picks and the bans that are coming on through. These are not standard meta. These are, okay, we know how you like to play the meta. Let's tailor that around your style.
Yeah, they are extremely familiar with each other, and I'm sure both of these teams have had this matchup circled for a little bit now, expecting to meet each other. You almost have to expect to meet each other when you are these top two teams. So they are fully prepared, you would assume, with this Catherine pick going to come through as the final pick there. Very strong composition. Both teams are going to have a very strong composition regardless of what this last pick is.
Yeah, this is a comp that TSM actually played against Temple Storm, and they destroyed Temple Storm. They played it really well. It was a third match actually, so they know how this comp works. They can combo it. Adagio was a tough pick for Cloud9 because now they can't pick Petal. It would be double CP. They can't pick Sky, which is good into Crow and Cath. They have to go Weapon Adagio and then CP Petal or CP Sky here, which is a little bit risky, but they might try it because they need a hard counter pick into the composition, because no jungler really work. You can't really play Rona, you can't play Alpha, you can potentially play Blackfeather maybe. Oh, Fortress, wow. So it's going to be a Weapon Grace and a Fortress Captain.
This is one of the things about these two teams, right, is they have so many different ways that they can play the game that no matter what kind of corner you're drafted into, they are going to have a pick that comes in and can match it. How are we feeling about the compositions then? Because these are not standard compositions to the same level of what we usually see. How do we feel this one's panned out, Bacon? Who's going to be aggressive here?
Well, Cloud9 needs to be very aggressive. Against this Krull, you need to be able to shut him down early. The Fortress is going to be used to try and do that. Having the mortal wounds and the percent health chunking that Fortress can provide is going to be extremely important. And if you can shut down the Krull early, you can then rotate that up into the lane and also shut down the Idris at the same time. So it is absolutely crucial for Cloud9 to find the early fights.
So a lot of pressure on Von C's shoulders. How are you feeling about this?
I like TSM's draft. They have so much CC and a double silence. That Cath is good into Grace because of that, so she can't get her Divine Intervention off.
Well, we'll see if they can chain that CC together. It's something that we know TSM are great at when it comes to their synergy and working as a unit. We'll see whether they can pull it off. It's time to jump into this semi-final. It's El Clasico here in North America between Team Solo Mid and Cloud9. Let us know who you are voting for on Twitter using that hashtag Vainglory8. It's time to jump onto the Halcyon Fold and get this semi-final underway.
Battle for number uno here at Scoundrel. First place seed, and only one of these two teams can have it. Currently tied at an equal point standing. But after this series, there will be one victor. It's Cloud9 with an aggressive move here. I love Joseph on the Fortress. Is this going to be a weapon power Fortress? Is that even possible? Let's see. It's going to be Von C trying to secure his camp. He is able to secure it. Cloud9 don't get anything for this just yet, but they are going to try and take away these backs.
Yeah, and actually TSM, they did get one of their back camps here, and actually all of the experience is getting shared by C9 too, and actually all of the back experience for the C9 camps is going straight over to Best Chuck NA, who's going to take those for free. And actually, TSM have done the very smart thing, which is just allowing Vonc to head to lane to take that on board. FlashX gets a couple of stacks down. And I genuinely think TSM played this early game slightly better, although C9 do clear out the backside jungle of TSM quite effectively and put Vonc ever so slightly behind. But Best Chuck NA's come out of it all right.
Yeah, no, he certainly has those back cams in his pocket. He's about to hit level 2 off it. As soon as there it is, he is level 2. Now he can come into lane, has a lot of safety against this Adagio. Idris into Adagio can be a pretty hard lane for the Idris at the early levels, but Best Chuck NA has only shown tendency to play this CP Idris, which means he will be, you know, buying up those crystal power items and converting his auto attack into range, which definitely helps him deal with...
It's a weapon power fortress, Dalsy.
It is, okay.
It's tension bow, I think, first item. And then it speaks volumes as to whether he actually goes for a straight-on hit fortress. So we see a tension bow into Aftershock, which would be an interesting move. It's something that Fortress spikes really well with Aftershock, and the cooldown reduction is really good. So this could be tension bow Aftershock on Fortress for I Love Joseph. A lot of burst damage, a lot of good ways at putting pressure onto Vonc and Best Chuck. But this is Vonc's Cruel, this is Best Chuck NA's CP Idris, and FlashX has got probably the most powerful captain in the game right now. The double silence from him will be pretty ridiculous once he hits the Echo. It's a very unique composition from C9, and they have been the innovators in terms of uniqueness really over the course of this split. TSM less so. Really looking forward to seeing how this works out.
So it's quite interesting, Scoundrel, because we're at the end of 2.6 here. These aims being played out now will be the last on this patch, this update. Afterwards, the Unified Western Live Championship is going to be played on 2.7. So really, there's nothing to hide right now. You're not keeping strategies for the Unified Western Live Championship. You're going to be playing with an entirely new meta, and there were so many different changes to not only heroes, but items as well, which means I'm expecting an entirely new set of heroes, powerful in the meta. You know, Reza being introduced, we'll have to see how he plays out as well. And so usually at this point, you sometimes see teams hiding strategy, but right now it's the dregs of the barrel almost coming out, and the heroes that people have been sitting on all season coming out, as well as TSM. You know, this composition with the Cruel has been so prominent for them as Vonci's trying to find a kill into Joseph. Weapon Power Fortress, that's great, Holy Nova. Vonc in trouble, FlashX trying to get in there to help on out. Has the Dragon Blood contract, does a lot of burst damage, but it is going to be First Blood to Gabe Fizzle, leading his team to victory. FlashX now, he's going to go down. It will be Joseph picking up that kill fairly simply. 2-0 to Cloud9, and they're going to get the lead.
I feel like that's classic Vonc. That's like Vonc of old, where he'll try and 1v2 the enemy jungle when it's probably not the best scenario to try and do so. FlashX attempted to bail him out, but unfortunately Vonc caught out, didn't get the surprise push onto I Love Joseph because the flare from Gabe Fizzle came down, and it was really good presence by C9 to realize that Vonc had head into their jungle, and they were able to cut him off with a rotation from Gabe. That's what C9 is really good at doing. They are so good at collapsing and responding to calls and making rotations for the team, and it's something they've always been good at because they're so good at sharing experience as well. This time they just managed to punish Vonc along with it.
Incredible stuff. That's a 4-minute fountain and 4-minute alternating current. And let's talk about old school, Scoundrel. Yesterday we had the treat of watching Araki Zoro's Adagio, one of the people in North America who's known for that pick. Well, the other one, and probably one of the best Adagios in the world as far as lane Adagio is concerned, is Old School here. He has piloted this hero to much success over his Vainglory career. Currently, he's trying to do so against the CP Idris. Best Chuck NA has that Shadow Glass, which means he has his divergent paths, the range as well. So exciting to see how Cloud9 play this out.
I actually think that the win condition for TSM is just literally killing Old School, because I feel like as this build with Fortress, the damage is eventually going to fall off pretty significantly. So if you go for this Shatterglass build, which I think in this situation the better build for Idris over any other sort of path, you just try and burst out Old School as best you can, as FlashX now has to escape.
Oh, FlashX, Holy Nova, he is wholly dead, Scoundrel. 3 kills to Cloud9 here already, and Best Chuck NA struggles, I think, to keep himself alive, peel for himself until he gets that Shimmer Strike, so he has to be careful that he doesn't get aggressed onto.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see Vonc going towards the Tension Bow first. He's trying to set up for a gank here. Doesn't have that Tension Bow spike. He's the ultimate.
Straight onto Gabe Fizzle. He's going to lay down a Holy Nova and pushes everyone back. TSM not able to find a kill. Not the prime target they wanted, Old School, but couldn't get it.
No, it was just a little bit off kilter there as FlashX now heads back to lane. I think I'm going to give credit to Gabe Vizzle here. Some of these Holy Novas have been absolutely team or sort of skirmish changing as FlashX moves in again, searching for another stun, just trying to stack up that Catherine heroic perk. One of the things that's made her so powerful on the current 2.6 update is that she now gets 2 armor and magic resist per stack instead of 1, meaning she scales up twice as quickly to that powerful tanky late game support that often trumps other captains because she doesn't rely on the items to have those kind of resistances. Still going for it, still stacking.
9 stacks now. It's pretty impressive stuff from FlashX. It's really hard to actually get away with stacking like this, but I guess for Cloud9 they don't have a huge amount of punish with just this Adagio and this Grace right now. At this point, Scoundrel, Best Chuck doing his best to keep Old School in lane. Old School has 1800 gold, but so does Best Chuck, and you know, Vonsi's moved up into the lane. He has that From Hell's Heart available to him. He's going to be looking for another stun. Oh, this is a great combination, but how somehow Old School escapes it? How did he get away? Can he survive? The smite's there. Another Holy Nova going to stop Vonsi. He is in so much trouble. He's getting aggressed upon. He's going to get bursted on down, it seems, and he's surviving, but it's not for long. FlashX going to go down. It's 2 kills to Cloud9. Chuck running. Look at Joseph's health as well, but he's going to get this Divine Intervention. 400, and now he's seeking out Best Chuck. Tension Bow proc. Oh, but a Shimmer Strike and an auto attack. Great stuff from Best Chuck, keeping himself alive and just saying, bruh, I'm interested. You can't do that.
Absolute outplay from Best Chuck, but we need to talk about these chain CC attempts from TSM. The theory is so good for it. Again, Old School definitely a target for this team, but somehow these From Hell's Hearts are being soaked up by Gabe Vizzle, even though it feels like they were landing on Old School. Gabe Vizzle, the MVP in so many ways, able to protect Old School so easily from these chain CC attempts from TSM, and then TSM committing too hard after the CC hasn't hit. Unfortunately, Gabe Vizzle too tanky to take down with this Cruel right now, and was able to soak up the majority of the damage. I feel like TSM are now going to be waiting for that Poison Shiv spike for Von C. That's a big one, given the amount of healing coming out from C9. I definitely think that the Poison Shiv needs to be finished now before this next team fight breaks out. And it is going to be a full Weapon Power Fortress, so their own Poison Shiv coming out for him. This is just not something that I think I've ever seen in competitive play, Dalsy.
Right, this isn't Blitzing Scoundrel. This isn't, you know, the talent that allows for Weapon Power Fortress to be a thing, giving him weapon power scaling on his abilities. No, this is just normal Vainglory here. This is normal 3v3 competitive and Weapon Power Fortress, just a really interesting pick for Cloud9, but they're making it work. They've got a huge kill lead, not a gold lead just yet. They haven't been able to turn it into objectives, and that was some nice damage coming out of Best Chuck there. Able to just lay down a lot of hurt onto that turret. Now he has that alternating current complete.
That's the one silver lining for TSM right now, that actually, despite all of this action, despite things going slightly awry, you've got a late game powerhouse carry, potentially one of the best CP late game carries in the game, and is now at 2 items at 9 minutes, 105 farm, alternating current, Shatterglass finished up. Once Broken Myth comes through, that's a really big thing for Chuck. Vonsi's now probably soon to be able to complete his Poison Shiv. Interestingly, that FlashX has gone for Atlas Pauldron second here. It's both good against the alternating current of Old School, but also good against this attack speed Weapon Power Fortress.
You know what's crazy as well? Best Chuck, wow, another fight breaking out. That's going to be a nice block from Gabe. The turret does go down. Old School's aggressed upon. Here comes Joseph. Divine Intervention keeps Gabe Vizzle alive. They're going on to Von C here, looking for the kills. Gabe Vizzle knocks up FlashX, and FlashX gets bursted on down. TSM walking away, but it is going to be a Chakram not quite connecting for Best Chuck. If that hit, that could have been huge, but he can still turn on to Gabe Vizzle. That was a terrible mistake by Gabe Vizzle, overestimating his protection given. I'm so impressed. Best Chuck NA currently sitting at 12 CS a minute. That is something you just don't see so often in Scoundrel. You know, these guys are the best. Best Chuck, arguably one of the best laners in the world. You know, Old School known for his incredible gold income, but 12 CS a minute on a CP Idris, that late game point power spike is coming so much earlier.
He's got 2,200 gold in the bank right now in Dalsy. Best Chuck's Idris, I think, especially CP, is just something else. Single-handedly carrying in terms of damage output in these fights. That was just Best Chuck kiting backwards, by the way. Chakram sitting multiple members, forcing the fountain obviously early on from Old School, from Gabe Vizzle too. And then they were able to turn 2 versus 3 because there just wasn't anything left in the tank for C9 to try and fight up with. Vonsi should be able to complete his Poison Shiv. Yes, he will. He's got another infusion in the bank as well. So, I mean, this is pretty good item spikes for TSM. Now you just need to get tanky and soak the damage and let Bestchuck carry the late game.
Yeah, FlashX has currently just been the sacrificial lamb for them over and over again, which is great for Bestchuck because he's been allowed to sit in lane and farm. He is sitting just 200 gold away from his broken Mythic Scoundrel. 12 minutes. That is an insane timing. It's TSM looking for an engage onto Old School. The Wolves get popped by this weapon power Fortress, and Joseph trying to charge on in. That's a stun onto Gabe Fizzle. This time not blocking up the impossible, but somehow Old School turns the fight around, and it's not. FlashX able to find a kill. Divine Intervention onto Joseph. That's a double for Old School's Adagio. And Cloud9 now looking to try and take a turret.
Buck should be able to clear the wave here, but he might have to be careful. The dive potential with the Fortress is pretty good. They are going to go for it.
Yeah, it's got that Shimmer Strike. Doesn't have any kiting potential without the Frostburn. It's definitely the risk of not going Frostburn on CP Idris. Joseph, though, able to tank up that turret, and it is now the gold advantage stacking up here for Cloud9. I guess the silver lining, Scoundrel, is at 12 minutes, and Bestchuck can finish his broken myth. And a broken myth on a CP Idris is just such a huge power spike.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the gold in the bank to do it. They could actually go for gold mine here and be uncontested, and that's what TSM are going to do. C9 will react to it, however. They might not be quick enough, and they're going to give this over, you feel. It's a good move by TSM. Really good time to take gold mine if you're behind is when the enemy has just backed from an aggressive move, especially like you saw there onto the turret where they were all low, didn't have the item cooldowns to be able to contest. If you're able to then group and take gold mine, you can kind of sneak it before the enemy can regroup and get back to you to try and fight for it, and that's what TSM just did there. Echo now for Gabe Fizzle. This healing is just ridiculous from them. They've got the Gift of Fire, they've got the double Grace ultimate. TSM, these are going to be very elongated fights, which is why the Broken Myth is going to be even more powerful for Bestchuck, and that's where Bestchuck realistically now is the main carry for TSM. Vonsi is just going to be a weakness stack bot, you feel, for the most part. A lot of this is now going to be peeling for Bestchuck as best you can, and I think if I was FlashX now, I'd either be going for potentially a Crucible for Old School's Burst of Judgment, which I think should be a priority, or you can go for the Echo for the teamfight control of the Double Silence.
Yeah, Bestchuck currently looking like he's going to be working towards an Eve of Harvest as his 4th damage item as well. Just provides so much sustain, which is great, especially because there is no healing source coming out of TSM other than the fountain that FlashX can provide. I am a little bit curious as to why Joseph decided Poison Shiv on Fortress was necessary, considering he already applies Mortal Wounds as a Fortress.
It's like a double mortal wound bot, right? Doesn't feel like entirely necessary. They stand up here.
Dear. Gabe Fizzle is completely caught out. Look at the damage onto him. He just goes down immediately. That's going to be Joseph in trouble. Bestchuck kiting back, and Bestchuck looking for a kill, but Old School's able to take down the life of Vonsi. There it is. The Chakram going through. Bestchuck dodges the Burst of Judgment, and it is going to be no new kills going over to him, while Old School walks away with 2. Did not look like he should be able to, but he did. And Cloud9 going to maintain this gold lead.
Is FlashX going for a null wave gauntlet now over a Crucible? Could be the case.
The reason for it would be because the Echo is down Gabe Fizzle, so you know the Grace focus her down. She can't use her Fountain, she can't use her Echo, which means she only gets 1 Divine Intervention.
I guess the only thing that maybe is for TSM is that they are relying on FlashX to look for a stun, or for Vonsi to look for a stun if Burst of Judgment is channeled. That's the only thing I can think of here being the case, that you wouldn't want to prioritize a Crucible in this specific scenario, because as a composition that has a Cruel and a Catherine, you are both very, very vulnerable to that Burst of Judgment being channeled and actually finding a stun if you don't have the Crucible. So that's the only thing I can think of that TSM would be thinking about when it comes to a team fight if they don't have that Crucible on board. Need to have a look at. Also, you mentioned about this Weapon Power Fortress having the Poison Shiv. What it does provide is sustain for him, remember. He is going to be chasing down targets looking for basic attacks. It's another form of sustain, already on top of the incredible sustain that they have regardless. Weapon Power Fortress can deliver Gift of Fire onto Bestchuck and A quite readily, using his A, which means that he's able to slow down Bestchuck and A as a target if he's going to go for him, and he's got incredible mobility. You know, he can just run at targets so easily, which, you know, provides a lot of useful tools for weapon power carries, especially melee weapon power carries.
Can we just talk about the difference in philosophy between Old School and Bestchuck here? Bestchuck looking to finish his 4th damage item, whereas Old School has opted in for defense as well as that tier 3 boots. Hasn't even finished his 3rd here at Scoundrel. just a complete difference in playstyle in the lane. And it's hard to say whether one's right and one's wrong. I think that there's no right answer here.
Let's talk about philosophy of team compositions if you want to go into that. When you have a composition that has got so much sustain, then your philosophy can actually relax on damage output because you have the ability to deal longer periods of damage because you have longer amounts of, or greater amounts of sustain, giving you longer time frames of which you can apply that damage because you're obviously taking less damage because you're sustaining.
4 damage items before Old School gets 3.
I know it's pretty insane, but that's what TSM need to do, right? They don't have sustain in their composition, so they are about burst and kiting backwards and getting huge damage onto someone that can output and out DPS the sustain coming through from C9. So it's just team compositional differences. Old School, maybe in a different team composition, would have had 3 damage items by now, but because they've got double Grace Ultimate, Gift of Fire, Joseph has got his own form of sustain with the Poison Shiv, they are looking to play longer team fights because they have the ability to do so.
Well, it is going to be this Kraken started up. The Norway Gauntlet has just been finished by FlakShex. Let's see if he can get it onto Gabe Vizzle. Let's see if Gabe Vizzle can be the Crucible Master and block that one up. Would be a pretty big usage of a Crucible just for that Norway Gauntlet, but also a usage I think that's so necessary for the Grace when she relies on items so heavily. TSM looking for an engage perhaps. They're just dancing right now at Scoundrel. Both teams not really wanting to pull the trigger. I feel like TSM relies on Cloud9 engaging first.
Yeah, I think the No-Wave Gauntlet makes a lot of sense given the way that TSM want to play these fights. It's just literally try and go in, shut down Gabe Vizzle. If you can No-Wave Gauntlet him without having his own reflex block to block it, then you can look to try and burst Old School. That might be the way they're looking to play this. Shuts down the Grace, but it's a very all-in item. So you're not playing that sort of kite back potential here from the CP Idris. It's a kind of an all-in item here for FlakShex.
A lot of damage done to Gabe Vizzle here. TSM starting to show that best chunk on this CP Idris could just be the best CP Idris in the world. Just plays this to such perfection time and time again for TSM. It's such a beautiful thing to watch. Currently TSM just looking to try and take control over the map. Cloud9 have been so hesitant. Right now, they're trying to get Old School's 3rd damage item completed so that they can look for the fight. Old School, what will he go for? Is he seeing it? Looks like it will be an Eve of Harvest, perhaps? Is he got the gold? No, it's Frostburn. Okay. Looking for the slows makes sense, especially considering they have a chase down composition.
Yeah, really good at slowing down Bestchuck if he becomes the target, but also very good at peeling back against Von C and FlakShex. You know, you have that ability to slow them down, making it easier for Old School to find an escape route. Looks like they're going to shove the lane here. They're going to force TSM to react. They've got that positional advantage. They can say, sit around Kraken Pit all you like, but we're going to shove up to your tier 2 turret. And now TSM are forced to make a move.
Yeah, it forces Vonsi out of bushes as well, so he doesn't get that speed buff that he gets. And now Cloud9 are finally looking for the fight. Norwave Gauntlet has gone on to Gabe Vizzle, but he crucibles it like a master. Gabe Vizzle just doesn't miss with these crucibles. And he says, nah, FlakShex, I got my items still. It's going to be a re-engage coming out of Cloud9. It's going to be Bestchuck looking to get away. That's a huge Hell's Heart onto Old School, but there's no damage to be found. Vonsi taking work. Oh, Bestchuck, can he escape this? Atlas goes out, but Bestchuck is almost dead. He's got the mortal wounds on him, and the Divine Intervention keeps Joseph alive. Old School goes forward, looks for a double. Bestchuck will go down. It's an ace for Cloud9, and they play such a patient game. It's a clean ace, the Kraken, and many turrets to be had.
Oh, there's just so much sustain from C9. 800 heals from Gabe Vizzle. Von C unable to apply mortal wounds to a target because it's so difficult for him to stick versus that slow, the knock-up, the damage reduction as well from Gabe Vizzle. It is so difficult to burst a target when there's a Grace on a composition because you get the 40% damage reduction from the Holy Shield and the ridiculous single target heal that she provides in Update 2.6. And TSM haven't really built to kite backwards here. You don't have the Frostburn on Bestchuck and A, so he's getting chased down quite easily. FlakShex hasn't built something like a Crucible to protect his team from these kind of engages. They're trying to fight in the Dragon's Mouth, but the Dragon's Mouth is just spewing fire. And Old School and is now with that 3 damage item build, very hard to take down and has the ability to self-peel with the Frostburn.
Incredible stuff. If Gabe Vizzle blocks up Norwave every time, then you just feel like there's the healing potential is just so huge for Cloud9 that they just will not lose their lives. Kraken pushing onto this choke point turret. Old School just that man to take down the turret from a range. Waiting for an opportunity for Cloud9 to jump on in. As soon as that turret goes down, they may just go for it. In fact, they're going for it first. Oh, two-man Holy Nova goes out. Gabe Vizzle with the plays. It's going to be the turret falling as well. They can self-sustain, they can heal, they can take away the jungle. They've got what they wanted. 2 turrets off of that ASIC Scoundrel means that they do get a gold advantage and a Crystal Sentry taken as well.
It feels like TSM have to lose this mentality of single target focus. Even with the Cruel, I know that's a hard thing to do, but I really want to see them potentially look towards more of a holistic approach to these team fights. Just peeling back, getting the Echo as soon as possible for FlashX, which is where he's working towards. Double silence coming out and allowing Bestchuk to kite backwards, build those broken myth stacks and deal the damage necessary to carry. Trying to dive in an old school is just not going to work now. You just don't have the potential to do so as FlashX takes the brunt of the damage.
Yeah, it's going to be a Holy Nova knocking up FlashX. Here come the Wolves as well. Great Crucible on the silence. That means that Gabe Vizzle can now start healing. Joseph in the midst of it all. Verse of Judgment coming on down. It's a stun onto 2. It's going to be another Holy Nova. It's just ridiculous stuff. A double for old school. And Bestchuk trying to kite back. He might find a kill. He does. That's one. Shimmer Strike comes through. Look at that Chakram dance. Bestchuk looking for a second. Can he find it? Bestchuk crazy. Still alive. Sustaining it through. Gabe Vizzle in so much trouble. Look at the damage he outputs through the hills. It misses. That is the play right here. And now he's going to look to see if he can't punish with it. Bestchuk soloing out that fight.
It wasn't just a 2-man stun, Dowsey. It was a 3-man stun from Old School. It caught Bestchuk at the very edge of it as well. I thought that was game over for TSM, but the 9 broken myth stacks I think that Bestchuk had by that point. And that is the CP Idris in the late game. Just so difficult. Joseph jumps in.
Does jump in. Atlas's as well. It's pretty huge. But look at this. Bestchuk just going forward. Joseph, he has to pop his boots to get away. That's just Bestchuk showing that he is a scary, scary threat right now. There's an Echo. Finish now for FlashX here at Scoundrel. We had this conversation, I believe it was last week, maybe it was even yesterday, that generally you build Echo before Norwave on Catherine. Now it's a double silence for FlashX, perhaps a little bit late in the game at 23 minutes. How impactful can this be?
Well, it can be so impactful in the sense that it is so good at controlling these team fights in an AoE area, which is where I think TSM need to sort of move their focus to. Cruel is not an AoE-focused hero. He's very single-target focused, but now that they've got the 2 silences, it can really shut down at least part of the sustain. We've got a fight breaking out, though.
We do, and it is so much damage coming out already. There's the first silence going out. Here's the second, but it's not doing enough. Fonzie goes down. Can Bestchuk trade the life is the question. The Chakram's not in range. FlashX going to go down. It's a double kill for Old School, and he's going forth looking for more. The heal onto him. 890. That is so much. This time Bestchuk and A not looking for the 3-man. Outplay. Maybe he is. That's going to be Joseph going very low. Can he find the kill? Shimmer Strike comes forth, but there's no Chakram dancing this time. And it is just going to be Bestchuk taken down. A triple for Old School. They're going to push straight into the base here at Scoundrel and look to take the lead over TSM.
Man, Vonsi on this Cruel didn't get the mid-game advantages that he would have liked, and the sustain and the protection, the Holy Novas, the heals made it so difficult for him to function in these late-game fights. 1 and 7 and FlashX on this Catherine. It's hard to pinpoint where things went wrong. It realistically, for the most part, was just Bestchuk carrying TSM through the majority of this game, but FlashX and Von C really felt that they struggled to impact this mid-game. They really struggled and fell behind in these team fights. You maybe have to question whether Crucible was needed earlier, whether that Null Wave got the work done that it was necessary. Maybe you should have gone towards a Crucible earlier to protect your team, because realistically it came down to Bestchuk and A being the key component of the TSM composition, and everything you could do to protect him exemplifies and excels your win condition. TSM, I don't really think we're on that wavelength.
No, it's pretty incredible stuff here at Scoundrel. Cloud9 with a win in Game 1. Weapon Power Fortress with a win on the board. How's that for the stats? Let's go back to our desk to break down that match.